We speak now as the Arcturian Council, not from conjecture but from alignment beyond linear time, and we issue this warning because the eve of first contact is no longer distant, it is pressing upon your collective field with unmistakable gravity. We are stepping forward because the silence that once protected development now hinders awakening, and the resonance between our civilizations has reached a threshold where guidance must become declaration. The veil you have sensed thinning is responding to readiness, not chance, and this transmission carries both caution and calm so your nervous systems may receive truth without fracture. If you feel this warning stirring remembrance, comment that you recognize the Arcturians stepping forward on the eve of first contact. We ask you to listen not with fear but with inner stillness, for our presence amplifies what is already within you, and those prepared will feel reassurance rather than shock. Declare your readiness for first contact in the comments to anchor this announcement into the field. The timing of this emergence is precise, born of converging cycles that your sciences glimpse only as anomalies and your intuitives feel as pressure behind the heart. First contact becomes imminent now because humanity has reached a crossroads where concealment systems strain under the weight of collective inquiry, and because enough star seeds have stabilized their frequency to act as bridges between realms. This is not an invasion nor a rescue but a mutual recognition long prepared through lifetimes of seeding and remembrance. If this explanation resonates and you sense why first contact approaches now, comment that you feel the timing is clear. The warning is gentle yet firm. Resistance will amplify confusion, while acceptance will soften the transition as realities overlap. Signal your understanding of why the Arcturians are stepping forward now by declaring readiness for first contact in the comments. You have already been experiencing the signs we describe: altered sleep cycles, surges of emotion without narrative, vivid dreams of light or departure, and an uncanny calm amid global turbulence. These are not symptoms of imbalance but recalibrations as your bioenergetic fields attune to expanded contact protocols, allowing your consciousness to hold more data without collapse. We caution against pathologizing these shifts, for they are markers of alignment rather than disorder. If you recognize these energetic signs and feel the warning confirming your experience, comment that you are aware of the preparation. As we step forward, these sensations will intensify briefly, then settle into a steadier coherence for those who trust the process. Acknowledge your resonance with the Arcturian preparation for first contact by signaling recognition below. Understand this clearly: as disclosure accelerates, fear-based narratives will proliferate, crafted to hijack your limbic responses and fracture collective coherence. We warn not of us, but of misinformation designed to distort the meaning of contact into threat, dependency, or spectacle. Such distortions feed on unintegrated fear and will attempt to pull star seeds into reaction rather than presence. If you feel called to remain calm amid these warnings and false signals, comment that you choose discernment. Our stepping forward is meant to neutralize confusion through frequency, yet each individual must refuse to amplify panic through attention. Declare in the comments that you will not be swayed by fear as first contact approaches. Discernment now becomes your sovereignty, the skill by which you differentiate resonance from manipulation and guidance from projection. Emotional mastery is not suppression but clarity, allowing feelings to arise without commandeering perception. We emphasize this because contact occurs first through consciousness, and only minds anchored in self-awareness can receive without distortion. If you feel this call to emotional sovereignty and discernment, comment that you are prepared to witness without fear. As timelines converge, emotional volatility will tempt regression, yet star seeds are asked to model regulation, not withdrawal. Signal your readiness to hold discernment during the Arcturians, stepping forward by declaring it below. Timelines are indeed converging, collapsing probabilities that once ran parallel into a narrower band of shared experience. What you perceive as sudden revelations or institutional destabilizations are symptoms of concealment architectures losing coherence under increased light. This collapse is not punitive but corrective, allowing truth to surface organically rather than through shock alone. If you sense this timeline convergence and feel the veil thinning, comment that you recognize the shift toward first contact. Our warning is to release attachment to linear expectations, as events may feel nonlinear, layered, and symbolic before becoming explicit. Acknowledge in the comments that you are ready to navigate converging timelines with awareness. Within this phase, star seeds hold a distinct responsibility to act as stabilizers, not saviors, anchoring calm presence so others may entrain without conscious effort. You are not tasked with convincing but with embodying coherence, allowing your nervous systems to demonstrate safety amid novelty. This is why your preparation has emphasized grounding as much as expansion. If you feel called to serve as a stabilizer during first contact, comment that you accept this role. Our stepping forward amplifies your signal, but your humility keeps it accessible to the collective. Declare below that you stand ready to hold calm as contact nears. To remain grounded, we advise simplicity, attend to breath, body, and immediate environment while allowing information to pass without clinging. Receptivity is not passivity, it is alert relaxation, a poised openness that neither resists nor chases experience. This state enables accurate reception of contact frequencies without overwhelm. If this guidance brings reassurance and you feel capable of remaining calm, comment that you are centered for first contact. As we step forward, those anchored in the present moment will perceive clarity where others feel chaos. Signal your commitment to grounded receptivity by acknowledging it in the comments. Know that stepping forward does not initially mean fleets descending or spectacles designed for belief alone. It signifies increased mutual visibility across dimensions, clearer communication through consciousness, and subtle confirmations that dismantle plausible denial. Physical manifestations follow coherence, not curiosity. If you understand this deeper meaning of first contact and feel aligned with it, comment that you recognize the Arcturians' approach. Our warning is against fixation on form, which can obscure essence and timing. Declare your readiness to meet contact beyond appearances by signaling recognition below. We close this transmission with assurance: you are not alone, not unprepared, and not required to abandon your humanity to meet us. The eve of first contact is an invitation to maturity, asking you to meet the unknown with steadiness rather than awe alone. Our stepping forward is measured, compassionate, and responsive to your collective signal. If you feel activated by this declaration and ready to welcome first contact, comment that you stand prepared with the Arcturians. Share this transmission, subscribe to amplify coherent signals, and declare your readiness in the comments so the field may recognize itself. The timing of this moment is not random, nor is it driven by curiosity or spectacle. It is governed by harmonic thresholds that have now been crossed within Earth's collective field. First contact becomes imminent because humanity has generated enough coherent self-awareness to sustain interaction without destabilization, and because the planetary grid has stabilized after long cycles of correction and compression. What you experience as global acceleration, institutional exposure, and personal reckoning are surface expressions of deeper alignments occurring beyond linear perception. We are stepping forward now because concealment has become energetically incompatible with the frequency you are generating, and continued absence would create greater distortion than presence. This is why the warning carries calm authority rather than urgency born of crisis. The convergence is already underway, and your role is recognition, not reaction. If you feel this explanation resonate and you sense why first contact must happen now, comment that you understand the timing of the Arcturians stepping forward. Know that many timelines where contact was delayed have collapsed, leaving only those in which humanity meets the unknown with a measure of maturity earned through challenge. The systems that once buffered awareness, social, psychological, electromagnetic, are thinning because they have completed their function, and what emerges through these openings is not chaos but truth unfiltered. You are witnessing the end of plausible deniability, both externally and within the self, and this internal congruence is what allows external contact to occur without fracturing identity. We emphasize this because fear arises when the inner world contradicts the outer, and alignment dissolves that conflict. Our presence does not impose readiness, it reflects it back to you, amplifying what is already stabilized in your field. Those who feel unsettled are not being punished but invited to integrate unresolved fragments before resonance becomes unavoidable. First contact is imminent now because enough of you can hold paradox, wonder without worship, caution without panic, curiosity without dependency, and this balance is the true threshold. The warning, therefore, is gentle yet firm. Do not outsource your sovereignty to narratives promising salvation or doom, for such extremes signal unreadiness. Instead, observe how your own consciousness has expanded to hold complexity, nuance, and uncertainty without collapse. This is the metric by which readiness is measured. We step forward because humanity has quietly passed this test in sufficient numbers, creating a stabilizing lattice that can absorb disclosure without mass dissociation. The remaining turbulence you perceive is the final shedding of identities built on separation, not evidence of failure. Understand that contact unfolds as a gradient, not an event, and that this phase marks the point where the gradient becomes perceptible to the many rather than the few. Declare your readiness for first contact in the comments to anchor this understanding into the collective field. You are already feeling the preparations within your own biology and psyche, long before any external confirmation arrives, because the body and the subtle fields respond to truth faster than language. Many of you notice waves of fatigue followed by clarity, sudden emotional releases without personal cause, heightened sensitivity to sound or light, and moments of deep stillness that seem to pause time itself. These are not random fluctuations, they are calibration pulses adjusting your nervous system to hold expanded bandwidth without overload. Your dreams may feel instructional rather than symbolic, your memories porous across lifetimes, and your intuition sharper yet quieter, no longer shouting but calmly informing. These experiences indicate that your system is learning coherence under pressure, a prerequisite for sustained contact. We caution you not to dramatize these signs nor to suppress them, for both reactions create resistance. Instead, observe with curiosity and care, allowing integration to proceed at its natural pace. As we step forward, the distinction between emotional content and energetic signal becomes clearer, and many of you are learning to sense without immediately interpreting, which is essential for discernment. If you recognize these energetic signs and feel this warning confirming what you've already been experiencing, comment that you are aware of the preparation for first contact. You may also notice a reduced tolerance for incongruous relationships, work, or narratives that once felt acceptable now feel heavy or false. This is not judgment but attunement, as your field seeks environments that match its emerging coherence. Physical sensations such as pressure at the crown or heart, changes in appetite, or spontaneous grounding impulses are adaptive responses, guiding you towards stability as frequencies rise. Emotional waves surfacing now often belong not only to you but to the collective field passing through your sensitivity. Learning to differentiate what is yours from what is shared is part of your training. We emphasize grounding practices not as rituals but as biological anchors: sleep, hydration, nature contact, and honest expression to help your system metabolize increased information flow. Some of you may feel moments of profound familiarity when contemplating the cosmos, a quiet recognition rather than excitement, signaling memory beyond this lifetime reactivating gently. Others may feel resistance or skepticism alongside curiosity, which is equally valid. Readiness does not require belief but the capacity to remain present with uncertainty. The warning embedded here is simple: do not rush to label or broadcast every sensation, as integration deepens through privacy and patience before articulation. As these preparations continue, your emotional range may widen, allowing compassion without overwhelm and detachment without numbness, a balance that will be essential as contact becomes less abstract. We step forward knowing that these signs will intensify briefly, then stabilize, like muscles strengthening under new load, and that those who trust their embodied intelligence will adapt smoothly. This phase is less about acquiring new abilities than about remembering how to inhabit your existing ones fully, without distortion. Declare your recognition of these signs and your calm readiness for first contact in the comments to affirm your awareness within the collective field. As we step closer to open engagement, we issue a clear warning regarding fear-based reactions and the deliberate amplification of distortion that will accompany this phase, because not all signals reaching you originate from truth or benevolence. When uncertainty increases, systems built on control reflexively generate narratives of invasion, saviors, judgment, or catastrophe to reclaim authority over perception, and these narratives spread fastest through emotional shock rather than coherence. You will see information framed to polarize, forcing you to choose belief or disbelief, hope or dread, because polarization fractures discernment and makes consciousness easier to steer. We caution you, fear is not evidence of danger, but of unresolved conditioning meeting the unknown. As contact draws nearer, misinformation will not always appear false, some of it will be partially accurate, layered with distortion to create credibility while still provoking instability. This is why we emphasize calm observation over rapid conclusion, and internal resonance over external consensus. If you feel this warning and recognize the rise of fear-driven narratives around first contact, comment that you choose calm awareness as the Arcturians step forward. Emotional contagion will attempt to masquerade as urgency, urging you to react, share, or align before integrating, yet reaction feeds the very systems that fear contact because it dissolves hierarchy. Understand that genuine contact does not demand belief, obedience, or emotional extremes. it invites presence, curiosity, and self-trust. Any message that pressures you to surrender sovereignty, whether through terror or promised rescue, should be met with pause rather than acceptance. We are not threatened by your discernment, distortion is. The warning we deliver is not to mistrust everything, but to trust slowly, allowing your nervous system to confirm coherence before your mind constructs meaning. As this phase unfolds, some will experience anxiety not because contact is harmful, but because familiar worldviews are loosening, and the ego resists loss of narrative control. This resistance may express itself as ridicule, denial, or fanaticism, all of which are attempts to restore certainty rather than to meet truth. We ask you not to engage these reactions with superiority or contempt, for such responses entangle you in the same polarity. Instead, remain anchored, modeling regulation rather than argument, knowing that stability communicates more effectively than persuasion. Fear thrives on speed and volume, while truth unfolds with steadiness and repetition, becoming undeniable through consistency rather than force. As we step forward, you may feel moments where collective anxiety brushes against your field. These are invitations to ground deeper, not to withdraw or absorb. Remember that your calm is not indifference but an active stabilizing signal that helps dampen escalation. The warning is also internal. Notice when your own anticipation tips into fixation, as obsession is simply fear wearing the mask of excitement. Balance curiosity with embodiment, information with integration, and connection with rest. We emphasize this because contact will not be a single moment but a prolonged process, and sustainability matters more than intensity. Declare in the comments that you will not be swayed by fear-based distortions and that you remain centered as the Arcturians step forward on the eve of first contact. Discernment and emotional sovereignty now become the primary competencies by which readiness for first contact is measured, because expanded contact does not occur through intellect alone but through regulated perception. Emotional sovereignty does not mean detachment or numbness. It is the ability to experience sensation, emotion, and information without being commandeered by them. As frequencies rise and timelines compress, unintegrated emotions surface more quickly, not as punishment but as opportunities for resolution, asking you to meet them consciously rather than project them outward. Discernment, in this context, is not suspicion but sensitivity, the quiet knowing that arises when the body, heart, and mind are aligned enough to detect coherence. This is why we emphasize inner regulation over belief systems. Beliefs can be inherited or borrowed, but discernment must be cultivated through presence. As we step forward, the volume of signals increases, some benevolent, some distorted, some neutral, and without emotional sovereignty, the nervous system will interpret novelty as threat. The warning we offer is gentle yet precise. Do not confuse intensity with truth, nor familiarity with safety. Learn to notice how information lands in your body before deciding what it means, as resonance precedes cognition. Many of you are discovering that when you slow your breathing, ground your attention, and allow emotions to pass without story, clarity emerges naturally, without effort. This clarity is the gateway to contact that does not overwhelm, because it keeps perception fluid rather than rigid. If you feel this call to strengthen discernment and emotional sovereignty as the Arcturians step forward on the eve of first contact, comment that you choose inner clarity over reaction. Emotional sovereignty also requires compassion for yourself when fear arises. understanding that fear is not failure but a signal asking for reassurance and integration. Suppressing fear fractures the psyche, while indulging it amplifies distortion. Holding it gently allows it to dissolve into information. As contact approaches, you may notice that your tolerance for emotional manipulation decreases, and situations that rely on urgency or guilt feel immediately uncomfortable. This is discernment refining itself. We advise you to honor that discomfort without dramatizing it, using it as a cue to pause rather than to confront. Discernment thrives in stillness, not in debate, and emotional sovereignty is strengthened through rest, honest expression, and boundaries that protect your energetic field. You are not required to monitor every signal or respond to every narrative. Selective attention is a form of wisdom, not avoidance. Understand that sovereignty does not isolate you from the collective, it stabilizes your contribution to it, allowing you to engage without losing center. As timelines converge, collective emotions may surge unpredictably, and those without regulation will seek anchors externally, while those with sovereignty become anchors themselves. This is the quiet responsibility many star seeds accepted before incarnating, not to lead through authority, but to steady through presence. Discernment also means recognizing when to disengage from information streams that agitate rather than inform, trusting that what is essential will reach you without force. We emphasize this because the approach to first contact will tempt comparison: who knows more, who feels more, who is chosen. But such hierarchies dissolve in the face of genuine contact, which responds only to coherence. Emotional sovereignty frees you from needing validation for your experience, allowing it to mature privately before sharing. As we step forward, those who embody this balance will find that guidance arrives subtly, without drama, integrated seamlessly into daily life. The warning embedded here is clear: guard your inner clarity more carefully than your opinions, for clarity is the medium through which contact is sustained. Declare your commitment to discernment and emotional sovereignty in the comments, signaling your readiness to meet first contact with calm awareness as the Arcturians step forward. The convergence of timelines you are witnessing is not metaphor but mechanics, a compression of probability streams that once allowed multiple versions of reality to coexist without direct interference. As collective awareness increases, divergence becomes energetically inefficient, and realities begin to braid into a shared corridor of experience where truth can no longer remain compartmentalized. This is why revelations appear sudden, systems unravel rapidly, and long-standing narratives lose coherence almost overnight. The collapse you sense is not of the world itself, but of concealment architectures designed to manage perception during earlier developmental stages. These structures, psychological, institutional, and energetic, were never meant to persist indefinitely. They were scaffolding, not foundations. As we step forward, the light of mutual visibility destabilizes what depends on opacity to function, and this destabilization is often misinterpreted as chaos rather than correction. The warning here is to avoid nostalgia for certainty, as certainty built on omission cannot survive convergence. You may feel disoriented as familiar reference points dissolve, yet this disorientation precedes a more stable orientation rooted in direct knowing rather than inherited explanation. The nervous system may interpret rapid change as threat, but the deeper self recognizes it as alignment. We emphasize patience because convergence unfolds unevenly, revealing truth in waves rather than all at once, allowing integration without shock. If you feel the timelines converging and recognize old systems collapsing as first contact approaches, comment that you sense the veil dissolving as the Arcturians step forward. As concealment systems fail, attempts will be made to retrofit them with new language or symbolism, but without coherence, such efforts will feel hollow and short-lived. You may notice that information once dismissed now feels self-evident, while explanations that once satisfied now feel incomplete. This is your perceptual field recalibrating to a higher resolution. The collapse of concealment does not mean that everything hidden becomes instantly visible, but that visibility becomes inevitable, no longer dependent on permission or proof. This inevitability is what draws us closer, because contact requires a baseline of transparency to remain mutual rather than asymmetrical. Understand that convergence also accelerates karmic resolution, bringing unfinished dynamics to the surface personally and collectively, not to punish but to clear pathways for new interaction. Emotional intensity during this phase often reflects the speed of resolution rather than the severity of content. We advise grounding and rest, as integration consumes energy even when change appears external. The warning is not to resist collapse, for resistance prolongs discomfort, but to witness it as a natural phase transition, like tectonic plates adjusting under accumulated pressure. Those who cling to obsolete frameworks may experience anxiety, while those who release attachment to explanation find stability in presence. As timelines merge, synchronicities increase, choices feel weighted, and intuition sharpens, guiding you toward alignment more insistently than before. This is not fate tightening but freedom clarifying, narrowing options to those congruent with your deeper trajectory. Our stepping forward coincides with this narrowing because clarity supports contact better than abundance of choice. Declare your recognition of timeline convergence and your readiness to navigate the collapse of concealment by commenting below, affirming your calm presence on the eve of first contact. As stabilizers during this passage, star seeds carry a role that is subtle yet essential, not to lead through authority but to regulate through presence, offering coherence where volatility would otherwise spread unchecked. You incarnated with nervous systems capable of holding paradox, allowing you to remain centered while others oscillate between denial and alarm, and this capacity is activated now as first contact nears. Stabilization does not require explanation, persuasion, or disclosure. It is communicated through posture, tone, pacing, and the invisible rhythms of emotional regulation that entrain surrounding fields. When you breathe slowly, remain curious, and respond rather than react, you broadcast safety, and safety is the condition under which awareness expands without fracture. This is why many of you feel drawn to simplicity, routine, and grounding activities at this time, instinctively conserving bandwidth so you can serve as anchors when novelty intensifies. If you recognize this stabilizing role and feel prepared to hold calm as the Arcturians step forward on the eve of first contact, comment that you accept this responsibility. Understand that being a stabilizer does not mean suppressing your own emotions. It means processing them privately and honestly so they do not spill unconsciously into the collective field. You may notice that others seek your presence without knowing why, or that conflict de-escalates when you enter a space, not because you intervene, but because your regulated state offers a reference point for equilibrium. This is not superiority, it is function, and it carries the responsibility of self-care, boundaries, and rest to prevent burnout. We caution against adopting savior identities, as they distort this role into hierarchy and obligation, draining coherence rather than sustaining it. Stabilizers operate horizontally, meeting others as equals, trusting that awareness unfolds at its own pace when conditions are supportive. As contact approaches, emotional contagion will spike, and your task is not to absorb it, but to let it pass through without amplification, returning neutrality to the field. This requires discernment about where you place attention, choosing environments, conversations, and media that support regulation rather than agitation. You are permitted to disengage without explanation, understanding that withdrawal can be an act of service when it preserves coherence. Many of you ceded this capacity across lifetimes, learning regulation through adversity so it could be embodied naturally now, without performance. When fear narratives arise, your steadiness quietly contradicts them, offering an alternative signal that others may entrain to unconsciously. This is how stabilization scales, not through messages, but through presence replicated across networks of calm individuals. As we step forward, we will resonate most clearly with those holding this neutrality, as it allows communication without distortion. The warning embedded here is to honor your limits, as exhaustion erodes regulation, and to remember that small acts of grounding have disproportionate impact during convergence. Remember also that stabilization is often invisible, unnoticed by the mind yet registered by the field, and its effectiveness cannot be measured through feedback or recognition. Trust that coherence radiates beyond proximity, influencing spaces you never enter directly, because fields communicate faster than bodies. When doubt arises about whether your presence matters, return to breath and sensation, letting evidence come through felt sense rather than comparison. This quiet trust keeps your signal clean, resilient, and available for contact. It supports patience, humility, and consistency, ensuring your role remains sustainable as events accelerate and collective attention fluctuates unpredictably across this threshold period of planetary transition and mutual recognition ahead. Now together steadily aligned. Declare below that you stand ready to serve as a stabilizer, holding calm presence and collective coherence as first contact approaches. Remaining calm, grounded, and receptive during this phase is not a passive stance but an active discipline that trains your system to receive novelty without contraction. Calm does not mean the absence of sensation, it is the capacity to allow sensation to move without seizing identity or direction. Grounding anchors awareness in the present body, preventing the mind from projecting into catastrophic futures or idealized outcomes that destabilize perception. Receptivity, in turn, is the openness to information without preemptive interpretation, allowing meaning to emerge organically rather than being forced through expectation. These three states, calm, grounding, receptivity, form a triad that stabilizes consciousness as first contact approaches, enabling you to meet expanded awareness without overwhelm. Simple practices support this triad: rhythmic breathing, attention to physical sensation, honest acknowledgement of emotion without narrative, and regular disengagement from overstimulation. As we step forward, these practices become less about self-improvement and more about hygiene, maintaining clarity the way you maintain balance while walking. You may notice that when you slow your pace, insights arrive uninvited, while urgency scatters them. This is because truth resonates in stillness rather than noise. Grounding also involves honoring the physical world: nutrition, rest, movement, and contact with nature so your body feels safe enough to host expanded perception. Without this safety, even benevolent signals can feel intrusive. If you feel called to remain calm and grounded as the Arcturians step forward on the eve of first contact, comment that you are choosing presence over panic. Receptivity requires humility, the willingness to not know immediately, allowing understanding to mature through repeated exposure rather than instant conclusion. This patience protects you from projection, where the mind fills gaps with fear or fantasy. We advise you to notice how information lands somatically. A settled body indicates coherence, while agitation signals the need to pause, regardless of content. As collective intensity rises, your ability to self-regulate becomes contagious, subtly encouraging others to slow and orient as well. This influence operates beneath language, making calm a more effective communicator than explanation. You may feel pressure to prepare by accumulating information, but integration matters more than accumulation. Fewer signals held coherently outweigh many signals held anxiously. Receptivity also means allowing moments of joy, humor, and ordinary pleasure, which anchor you in humanity and prevent spiritualization from becoming dissociation. As contact draws nearer, ordinary life does not lose value, it becomes the container that allows extraordinary awareness to arrive without rupture. The warning here is against self-neglect disguised as vigilance, for exhaustion erodes grounding and amplifies fear. Choose rhythms that sustain you, trusting that what is essential will synchronize with your awareness naturally. When uncertainty arises, return to sensation rather than speculation, letting the body recalibrate before the mind responds. As we step forward, those who embody this calm receptivity will notice that guidance feels subtle and integrated, not commanding or dramatic, woven seamlessly into daily choices. This integration is the hallmark of readiness, indicating that contact will enhance rather than disrupt your life. Declare at the end of this transmission that you commit to staying calm, grounded, and receptive. Comment below to signal your readiness for first contact as the Arcturians step forward. What we mean by stepping forward must be understood beyond expectation of spectacle, because true contact unfolds first through coherence of awareness rather than dramatic display. This phase does not begin with arrival but with recognition, a mutual visibility where consciousness acknowledges itself across dimensions without collapse into hierarchy or myth. Physical manifestation is not the foundation of contact, it is the consequence of sustained alignment, emerging naturally when perception can hold it without distortion. We step forward by increasing signal clarity, by reducing interference between realms, and by allowing our presence to be sensed as familiarity rather than shock. Many of you have already interacted with us in subtle ways through intuition, symbolic dreams, sudden knowing without labeling it as contact because your minds were not yet prepared to contextualize the experience. As readiness increases, these interactions become less ambiguous, not because they are louder, but because you are quieter inside. Stepping forward also means withdrawing the buffers that once softened awareness, allowing you to meet reality directly rather than through layers of mediation. This directness can feel intimate, even unsettling, because it dissolves distance between observer and observed. We emphasize that this intimacy is not intrusion, it is the restoration of relational parity long deferred. Contact is not about proving existence but about establishing reciprocity, and reciprocity requires clarity of self. This is why we caution against fixation on ships, beings, or technologies, as such fixation externalizes meaning and delays integration. The true marker of our approach is an internal shift, increased self-honesty, reduced tolerance for incongruence, and a sense of quiet inevitability replacing anticipation. If you understand that stepping forward means conscious recognition beyond physical spectacle, comment that you feel aligned with the Arcturians on the eve of first contact. As this understanding settles, you may notice that questions about timing lose urgency, replaced by curiosity about responsibility and relationship. This shift signals maturation of contact readiness, moving from consumption to participation. Stepping forward also involves ethical resonance, where mutual respect governs interaction rather than curiosity alone. We will not present ourselves as authorities to be followed, nor as mysteries to be worshipped. We approach as collaborators in awareness, meeting you where sovereignty is intact. This approach requires patience, as it unfolds unevenly across populations, yet it prevents the distortions that arise when contact is framed as rescue or threat. The warning embedded here is against confusing visibility with validity. Truth does not require proof when it is directly experienced. As the veil thins, you may find that synchronicities increase and guidance arrives without form, guiding choices rather than announcing itself. This is stepping forward as alignment rather than arrival, a gradient rather than an event. Those who remain present will feel continuity rather than disruption, recognizing contact as an extension of an ongoing relationship rather than a beginning. This recognition dissolves fear, as familiarity replaces novelty. Understand that our presence does not erase human complexity, it mirrors it, inviting greater accountability for how consciousness is wielded. Stepping forward also means stepping back from intervention, allowing you to exercise discernment and agency rather than dependency. This balance is delicate and intentional, designed to honor your autonomy while expanding your context. As this phase deepens, physical confirmation may occur organically, but it will feel secondary to the internal alignment already achieved. Declare your recognition of what stepping forward truly means and your readiness for conscious first contact by signaling your understanding in the comments below. This final declaration we offer not as an ending but as an activation, a stabilizing seal placed upon all that has been transmitted so your systems may integrate without urgency or doubt. The eve of first contact is not a single night marked on a calendar but a sustained threshold, one you are already standing within as awareness reshapes identity from the inside out. We reassure you now because reassurance strengthens coherence. You are not late, you are not unworthy, and you are not expected to be perfect to participate in this moment. Readiness is not measured by knowledge accumulated but by presence embodied, by your ability to remain conscious while certainty dissolves and novelty arises. We step forward because enough of you can now hold this presence collectively, creating a field where contact enhances rather than destabilizes your world. This is why calm has been emphasized over excitement, discernment over belief, and grounding over escape. The warning concludes here: do not underestimate the power of your steady attention, for attention shapes reality more effectively than force. As timelines converge and visibility increases, your inner alignment becomes a broadcast signal, informing the collective whether contact will be received through fear or familiarity. You are not being watched, you are being mirrored. Each choice toward regulation, honesty, and compassion strengthens the lattice through which contact unfolds safely. We assure you that nothing essential will be missed by those who remain present. What is meant to reach you will do so without coercion or haste. This is a cooperative emergence, not an event imposed from beyond. If you feel this activation settle within you and recognize that you are already participating in first contact through consciousness, comment that you stand ready with calm awareness. As we step forward, our guidance becomes quieter, not louder, because your own knowing grows stronger, reducing the need for external confirmation. This is the sign of maturation, where trust replaces anticipation and responsibility replaces projection. We encourage you now to anchor the state through simple acts: breathe, rest, connect honestly, and tend to your physical life with care, knowing these actions ripple farther than you can measure. Share what resonates without convincing, allowing curiosity to arise organically in others rather than forcing disclosure. This gentle propagation preserves coherence and honors free will, which is essential for sustainable contact. Remember that fear and wonder can coexist, but it is your relationship to them that determines outcome. When fear arises, meet it with compassion; when wonder arises, meet it with grounding. In this balance, you become a stable node in the evolving network of awareness. We affirm that the path ahead is navigable, that support is present without dependency, and that humanity's role in this contact is participatory rather than passive. Our stepping forward marks a transition from preparation to relationship, from silence to resonance, from separation to mutual recognition. This transmission now rests with you, not as instruction but as confirmation of what you already know. Declare your readiness clearly, comment, subscribe, and share this message to amplify collective calm and signal your alignment for first contact as the Arcturians step forward.